Hey, thank you for being here today. I appreciate you all coming in because I really just wanted to say that whole thing got way out of hand, and I'm really sorry for whatever part I had in it. Hey, Internet, my name is Jeff, and I'm a pastor, and today we are talking about animal sacrifices. What's the deal with all of the animal sacrifices in the Bible? And also, of course we don't do that anymore, but why don't we do that anymore? Why is it that God seems to command animal sacrifice in Leviticus and in some other parts of the Old Testament, but then not in the New Testament? What's the story with all of the animal sacrifices? Why is the Old Testament just so non-vegan friendly? And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, let's just take a look at Leviticus. I'm starting at the very beginning of the book of Leviticus here on my phone. And just as I'm scrolling through from the very beginning, we've got when you bring an offering of livestock to the Lord. That's in verse 2. In verse 3, the offering is a burnt offering from the herd. You shall offer a male without blemish. Oh boy. Verse 9, but its entrails and its legs shall be washed with water. I mean, there is just all kinds of stuff about animal sacrifices, all kinds of detailed, kind of gory things that are happening in the book of Leviticus. Now, I want to start this discussion with a fun fact. Leviticus and the law given on Mount Sinai, this happened, depending on how you date it, somewhere around the year 1200 to 1400 BCE. So that's happening over here. And then you have us in the middle here in 2000, what year is it? 2021. It's still 2021. And then you have us here in 2021. So that means that the distance between us and the Sinai event, again, depending on how you date it, somewhere around 1200 or 1400 years. So fast forward that amount of time, and it's going to be the year 3200 or 3400. It's going to be the year 3200 or 3400. So 3200, 34, 5200, 5400. You forgot 2,000 years. Okay. So think about this. The distance between us and Leviticus is the same distance between us and the year 3200 or 3400. So think about it. We look at Leviticus and some of the things that are written in Leviticus, and not just Leviticus, but also some general things in the Old Testament, and we say that's kind of weird, dated. We might even say it's barbaric. And yeah, that's absolutely the case, and we don't do those things anymore. But it kind of makes you think, in the year 3200 or in the year 3400, what are they going to look back at from the year 2021 and say, ooh, that's so weird, that's so barbaric, what was even going on during that time? So all of this is to say that things change over time. Our contexts change over time. What's normal and abnormal changes over time. And the reason why I want to bring that up and the reason why I want to drive that point home so clearly is because we've probably forgotten that it was totally normal in societies in 1400, 1200 BCE. It was totally normal for sacrifices to be offered, animal sacrifices. Every culture that we know of during that time did it. So if God is going to start communicating to people during that time and in that place, God is probably going to use something that is common for those people, like, say, animal sacrifices. And it's not common for us anymore, so we don't do it anymore. So if you read through Leviticus and say, we don't do this anymore, why don't we do this anymore? The answer is we don't do this anymore because we don't do this anymore. Because animal sacrifices just aren't common in our society anymore. I mean, for me anyway. I don't really know what you do in your free time. So animal sacrifice isn't common for us anymore. So of course, our worship and our expressions of our spirituality, all of these things are going to look different. See, we could look at the book of Leviticus and we could say, oh, all of that animal sacrifice, it's very barbaric. And, you know, it is. You read through some of the details, and quite frankly, it really is just kind of gross. But they were common in that day. And so God used what was common to the people to say, even this can be worship. So we could look at Leviticus and we could say it's outdated and barbaric. And yeah, in a lot of ways it definitely is. But we can also look at it and say, look at how God stepped into a culture, embraced a culture for where they were and who they are, and offered them the opportunity to worship God using symbols and practices that were common to them. And it's going to change over time because God continues to condescend to people using our symbols, using our language to communicate with us and be in some sort of a relationship with us. When it gets to be the year 3200 or 3400 CE, yeah, some of our practices are going to look weird and barbaric. But all of that is an expression of how God continues to condescend to us and communicate to us using languages and practices that are common to us. So when you're reading through Leviticus or when you're reading through the Bible and you come across something that seems very bizarre and outdated, I say thank God. Thank God that God uses practices and symbols that are common to a given culture and allows us to use them to worship God and to connect with God and to communicate with God. All right, that's it this week. Just a quick one to say that we don't do the animal sacrifices anymore because we don't do the animal sacrifices anymore. That's just not something that our culture does. And so, of course, God is going to continue to communicate with us using symbols and practices that are common to us here and now in our given context. I'll see you all next week. Make sure you click like and subscribe there on the bottom because it would help me out a lot. Grace and peace be with you, friends.